Welcome to the Stuff and Things Podcast, your home for all stuff related to your favorite things in entertainment. Now, here are your hosts.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Stuff and Things Podcast. I am Sam. Joining me to discuss The Walking Dead here on Walking Dead Wednesday. My partner in crime, it's Stefan.
Hey, how we doing?
Yeah, not too bad, other than the fact I just missaid podcast as I opened the show. But I have an excuse. I have a cough sweeten.
Oh, okay.
So basically, as I went to say podcast, I nearly choked on the aforementioned sweet.
Oh dear.
And yeah, so that's why I went wrong. But thank you.
Okay.
Hello everyone, I styled it out.
Nice
we are talking about The Walking Dead Season 11 Episode 18. The title of the episode was...
A New Deal.
Yeah, what did you think of this episode overall? Because there's something right at the very start I was kind of a bit quizzical about, but other than that, I thought it was quite good.
It was a good episode. I think the problem with this episode is the fact that it's already been massively overshadowed by what's coming in the next episode.
Well,
because America get it that little bit earlier, I'd already seen a few bits on social media linking to next week's episode. So as much as I've enjoyed this episode, in the back of my head, I'm like, I really want next week's episode.
Yeah, well, I was gonna come on to that. I was gonna come on to that at the end, but
yes,
just to discuss this week's in isolation. Then, the thing that kind of threw me a little bit was last week's episode. We saw Daryl and a group fighting Hornsby.
Yep.
They lured them down into the sewers, and basically both groups kind of ambushed each other.
Yes.
Meanwhile, whilst all this was happening, back at the Commonwealth, Carol had returned Pamela Milton's son, Sebastian, to her, basically saying, you want to clear his name, you need someone to blame. That person could be the guy who's out hunting my friends, let's do a deal.
Yeah, which kind of makes sense. Good enough deal.
It does kind of make sense.
As long as Pamela Milton's on board with it, because otherwise she's just walked her friends into a real problem.
Exactly. I think Carol understands the kind of political manoeuvring that Pamela does and sees it as a political opportunity, which it is, to exonerate her son, pin all the bad stuff on Hornsby, and, long may the Miltons live and prosper. However, how did we therefore go to this week, the start of the episode, where Daryl's still holding a knife to Hornsby? I mean, have they been there for hours like that? Because Milton, Carol, and the guy whose name escapes me, Mercer, just storm in there. Like, literally, they were in the Commonwealth 5 minutes ago, discussing this plan. Start of this episode, they're there with Daryl.
Yeah, somewhere a passage of time has passed somewhere.
Yeah.
And not been explained very well. Like, the stuff with Carol and all that could have been happening the day before, for all we're aware of. They just haven't really shown it
but the
very
issue
well,
is...
because it looks like it's happening at exactly the same time.
Yeah.
So how the hell did they get there?
Yeah, but the issue with that, it can't have, because they sent Negan. So Hornsby is hunting them, and they sent Negan to the Commonwealth. Yep. Negan and Carol then formulate the plan, etc., whilst Daryl and everyone else are fighting Hornsby. So the whole episode is built around it happening all in real time. And, like, Carol's doing this back there, Daryl's doing this there. So there's real tension of, like, oh, wow, how's this going to go? Yeah. Now, I was fully expecting a radio message for, like, Mercer to his soldiers to stand out. Take Hornsby into custody, bring him back here. Something like that.
That would make sense.
And yet, Pamela Milton... I mean, also, why is Pamela Milton gone there? Why is she gone there? It like, that whole opening thing to me just didn't make any sense. Like, she literally never gets her hands dirty. And yet, on this occasion, she goes. Just sending Mercer was enough. I mean, there ain't one soldier there who's going to backchat him.
No, you're right. Yeah, it was one of those things where she did not need to turn up.
No.
There was absolutely no need for her to be there at all. It could, like you said, would have been done just as well on Mercer doing a radio.
Yeah. And it would have made more sense than her having a Lightspeed engine, which is clearly what she must have to be able to get there.
Yes.
Anyway, moving on from that, which irked me. Like I said, I enjoyed the episode. Daryl has that knife to Hornsby's throat, and Hornsby is a bit of a smug git about the fact Daryl has to let him live, so he stabs him through the hand. There was a little bit of Savage Rick about that.
It made me happy. It made me happy. Yeah.
Yeah, that felt a bit old school. That I enjoyed that. That was good. We learned more about Carol's deal, which we kind of already worked out last week what Carol was manoeuvring for, but we get it confirmed that basically Pamela said to them, "You hand me that guy, I pin everything on him, and I give you carte blanche, all the supplies you need, food, water, timbers, whatever you need to fix up your home, and you go."
Yep.
So the headache of these people's gone. Everyone gets to go back to they get to rebuild Alexandria, go back, live their own lives, doing their own thing, not under the Commonwealth. What did you think of that? Because there were a little bit of mixed reactions. So, for example, Negan... actually, we'll come back to Negan, because that one's an interesting one. But Judith, for example, didn't want to go back. You know, she was kind of like, I've lived this life now, where I've got to be a child.
Very settled. Yeah.
Yeah, and, you know, I have friends here. I've got to go to school. You know, I've been able to, you know, go to the fun fair, go to the movies. I've got to live a life that I only dreamt of or read about. Why would I want to go back to the way it was? And I kind of... What's funny about that is it was kind of hard-hitting for me, and I don't know if it was intended to be, but you kind of forget, like, we always talk about Carl being the child of the apocalypse. Judith
really
is the... You know, literally, her mum was eaten by Walker giving birth to her.
Yeah.
You cannot be more child of the apocalypse than Judith, and, you know, little ass kicker has literally grown up in this world fighting to survive, to the point that when we saw that time jump and, you know, she's using her Rick's gun,
hand cannon. Yep.
Yeah, literally a hand cannon. No logical way that girl could fire that gun without ripping her shoulder out, but I don't care. Physics can go out the friggin' window.
Child of the apocalypse. Yep.
It's Judith. Judith, like, if they remove that shirt, it's just armed, ripped muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger under there. Yeah. She's a Grimes, okay? But, like, her wielding her katana, you know, from Michonne, her having that gun of Rick, the hat, it was just like, yep. Yep. This kid is exactly how I wanted to picture Judith going forward. The actress does a phenomenal job, and in this, I kind of was like, oh wow, yeah, this, I can understand. Like, we've grown up, we've watched this series, you know, we've watched 10, 11 years of this show, this character's been around for X amount of years. You're not, if you've tasted safety, why would you want to trade that in?
You've had the last X amount of time living as every kid should.
Yeah.
You know, she's had...
in a safe environment, yeah.
She's had Halloween.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, all of a sudden, no, we're leaving now, come on.
Yeah, and Daryl was so blasé about it, and I think it took him by surprise. What I also liked, though, is later in the episode, when we do have that moment where walkers are loose, she, you know, Grimes snaps back, give me the gun.
Yep.
And it's that kind of... And she hasn't missed a step. You know, she is the child of the apocalypse, one shot, headshot, boom. Yeah. And I know people can... But no, I'm not having it. This kid has, you know, been trained from day one to do this. I'm happy with this.
Yeah.
And like I said, muscles like Arnold Schwarzenegger under whatever she's wearing. It's legit. Look it up. So I kind of love that. I kind of love that we got that emotional arc for her in this episode. And I felt it was really great to point that out, that not everyone's going to be happy about going back. Now, circling back to Negan, what I find really interesting is his wife talked about don't know how I feel about this. These bastards pretty much killed all of our people.
Yeah.
A very, very worthwhile thing to bring up. Can you kind of partition it to say Hornsby and his bastards did it? That's not the Commonwealth, if you like. But at the same time, Carol's basically letting you know that Milton's not much better. She's basically making a political move here. One of the things that happens, though, is Negan takes her to the hospital. And they do, like, a maternity scan. And they say to her, like, you know, it's a really good job you're here because you've got too much amniotic fluid. You are literally in the best place. Probably the only place to help you.
Yep.
Mate, you said to me last week you have a bad feeling.
Yep.
That must have got worse this week.
Yeah, it did. And the fact that they're still talking about leaving and stuff, even after being told that, I'm like, this has just got bad written all over it.
Well, she is ready to leave. Negan is okay to stay. Negan's kind of like the kid comes first.
Yeah.
He talks about how his dad had said to him, like, you know, once you become a father, you know, you realise that everything you do is for the child. And he was like, I never thought I'd ever get to that point. I never thought I'd experience that. I think he'd stay. I think regardless of what's happened, he would stay for the kid. For the safety of the kid. But she's adamant she wants to leave, and it just gives me that horrible sinking feeling. We know there's a spin-off. We know Negan and Maggie are in that spin-off. I've seen a load of stills and images for that have been released.
Oh, I haven't seen her.
No. In fact, most of them appear to be Negan and Maggie at odds, which might suggest that something happens to Negan that makes him go over the edge again.
Possible, yeah. I am withholding all kind of opinions on this spin-off because I still can't in my head work out how it's going to work.
No, not a clue. And to be honest with you, at the moment, I'm not even sure we're going to be able to watch it in the UK at the moment. So that's a whole separate thing. What did you think about Eugene's kind of arc in this? So Eugene and his girlfriend, they kind of have this discussion where they go to Hornsby, of all people, in his jail cell. She's determined to bring down Pamela Milton.
Yeah.
She has overheard her basically admitting to every dastardly thing, knows her son's a piece of shit, but is going to cover for him, and says, you were born to lead this place. And I think that's what triggers her to, nope, not a chance.
Yeah.
What did you think of their arc in this episode, and what did you think of their plan to record him, and then what they did?
Clever plan.
Yeah.
The fact that Hornsby basically turns around to him, almost as if he knows that she stood out there as well.
Yeah, he knew.
Like, he knew she was there. He knew he was not alone. Like, the comments he makes, you're kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. But at the same time, I think Hornsby was very clever because the way he kind of worded it made up their mind for them almost. That, right, we have to go do this then.
Yeah, yeah. And
he made this big point of, like, you know, don't bite the hand that feeds you. They're in charge. You'll be hunted down. It'll never work. And then basically turned around and went, basically, you're not smart enough to get away with it, really, are you? As if to kind of, you know, poke the bear, so to speak.
Well, what's interesting...
Well, they were going to go and do something stupid.
Well, what is interesting is, of course, is we see he has a plan in place.
Yeah.
His agents murder a whole group of, like, road sweepers who are getting ready to clean up after this Founders Day festival.
Poor guy just wanted to win the lottery. That's all he wanted.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Now, what was interesting about that is, like, I saw them do it, and I was like, oh, I wonder why they've done that. And then, of course, my brain went, they're going to turn.
Yeah, not one was a headshot.
No, not one was a headshot. And I was like, oh, wow, they've done that so walkers will be within the walls. Walkers within the walls will cause chaos, will cause panic. They're going to go try and break Hornsby out.
It's like one of those things. So if that was to be, say that was at Alexandria or something like that, we've seen this sort of thing happen. One turns, a few others turn. The people of Alexandria dealt with it quick.
Yeah.
Because they are used to that sort of thing.
Yeah.
The people that have been living in the Commonwealth, as we kind of see when it all hits the fan,
yeah,
if you're not part of those, like Mercer's lot, they had no idea what to do. There's no weapons anyway. And there was people are just literally like falling over in front of walkers, and it's like, that was dumb.
Well, I mean, they're literally ripping through the crowd.
Yeah.
Of course, what's kind of happened is like this perfect cataclysm of events, because Eugene has played this. Sebastian is like gone charging after Eugene's girlfriend,
Steph, or whatever her name is.
Yeah. I don't remember what her name is now.
It changed about 3 times, didn't it?
I know, right? Mercer's sister. Furious with her and wants to get her.
Yeah.
Now, the crowd are like furious because of what they've heard, so the crowd are kind of like rioting. The troops are kind of like calm that down, but then Mercer realises that the screams and all the commotion at the back has got nothing to do with that. There's actually walkers within the wall. So there's 2 parts here which I find interesting. Pamela Milton, where the hell are you going? Your job's to protect me.
No, my job is the people. Middle finger to you, love.
Yeah. I kind of love that, and I think it's quite pleasing because me and you discussed Mercer a lot when he first got introduced, of like us wanting him to be good.
Yeah,
because he was a very likable character, very strong character. And us wanting him to be a voice of good and not be corrupted by these people who are clearly not the best.
Yeah.
And he does go off, and like I said, Daryl and Judith tool up and they go and take him out. And they sort of thing. But Sebastian pushes Walker. Did you think she was going to die, or did you think she was safe?
I've just looked up. Her name is Max. It wasn't Steph. Steph was the fake name. Her actual name is Max. Because I know someone will be screaming at the podcast right now.
Yeah, no. Yeah. Did you think Max was going to die? Or did you feel something, do you feel she was safe? Because there was a moment where I genuinely thought, oh no, that's brutal.
Yeah, there was a second where he shoves the walker at her.
Yeah.
But see, for me, my brain went to, he shoved the walker at her, she's going to get bitten, but I was like, Mercer's going to have seen that. Or, Mercer's going to have seen that her son threw the walker at his sister.
Yeah.
And that was going to be his snap point.
Yeah, Sebastian is not going to survive that.
No. Turns out.
What I find, turns out Eugene slams into the walker using Eugene's bulk.
Yep.
The walker lands on Sebastian, and the thing that I loved about this scene, there are 10, 15 people who could have helped him.
Everyone just stands and watches, like him screaming, help me. And everyone's just watching like, no. No, thank you.
No interest. Possibly a combination of fear, freezing people, and also, no, I'm not going to risk my life for you.
Yeah, like the fact that not one person even slightly stepped forward. Everyone just stood there and watched. And I'm like, that is, like you say, is a combination, I think, of the genuine, like, I wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah.
Followed up with, I am not risking my arm.
For that guy,
yeah.
And we see Judith put the walker down, but it's too late. Sebastian's basically been ripped apart.
His neck is missing large chunks at this point.
Yeah. He ain't well. So I wanna circle back to another thing in the episode before I hand it over to you for everything I've missed. There's a moment. Me and you talked a lot about whether Hornsby and Milton were simpatico, whether they were a team, whether they were helping each other, whether he did the dark arts and she was the public face. I think in this episode it kind of confirmed we were right on that, because he says to her, it's just us, drop the act. Okay. And what did you think? Because I felt like, because Mercer walks off, he's handcuffed down, and she starts talking to him about, oh, you're going to go to jail for this. And he's like, it's just us, drop the act. And she's like, no, no act sort of thing. You're going to face justice for this. And he's looking at her and he's like, you've never had any problem with the way I do things before. Like, why this
now?
Time? Now, we know the reason, and the reason is her son. So if it wasn't for that, she'd have no problem with him doing what he's doing.
And this is where we've discussed before, obviously, about what side of the fence she's on and stuff. And we've always kind of hoped, but maybe suspected a little bit. And now with this, all our suspicions have come true.
Yeah.
And it's like, so she is the bad guy then?
Yeah. She is, yeah.
Is she the big bad?
Well...
Or is that still Hornsby's the big bad? She's just one of these, like an accomplice that goes, yeah, do you know what?
Yeah, I think she's...
I'll keep my hands clean and you do
I think she's the political face of a nasty organisation. But there's another line in there which I jumped on, and I want to get your opinion if I'm overthinking it. He says to her, "You can't get rid of me. I'm too important because of certain alliances we have."
Now, that was a line that stood out to me.
Yeah.
Because is this where we're finally going to get the CRM?
Yeah.
Or is it more a case of his alliances are the smaller communities around? Like we saw...
That feed into,
Yeah, we saw obviously when he went to Alexandria, he was the one that made the deal there.
Yeah, well that's the thing, is we don't know.
As far as places like Oceanside and Alexandria go, are they kind of aware what is happening inside the Commonwealth? Or are they set up much like... Remember the Kingdom was under the Saviours?
Yeah.
They lived their own life. They had no idea what was happening in the Saviours' walls. They just made their trip every however long, did the trade, came back again, carried on living their lives. How many of these communities has Hornsby got there that are...
No.
You know...
Sorry.
Go on.
We know that Oceanside and places like that are actually under the boot now.
Yeah.
Because we saw at the end of season 10, like literally Commonwealth flags go up everywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's... I just thought that line was interesting, because like you said, it could simply mean the alliances of all the people that are around the Commonwealth that supply food, whatever. That, that's a big deal.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be sniffed at, and if he's generally saying, I'm the one who's done all that, you get rid of me, you're in trouble, then that's a valid threat. But the reason why I picked up on it, obviously, is what you said, which is, could this actually mean the CRM? Because surely this end of this season has to
have a link. It must! Surely.
I mean, if it doesn't, then we are literally... The CRM is purely going to be in fear. Well, not why are we watching it, but yeah, I mean, we're watching it to the end, ride or die.
It feels there's a little part of me that now, even if there's 6 episodes left?
Yeah, not
like
many.
It's now at that stage. They could kill off all the main characters, bar the ones in spin-offs, in next week's episode. Yeah. We would do a podcast going absolutely mental at the fact they've done it. Yeah. Yet no, we're still going to watch the next 5 episodes, no matter what happens.
Well,
because we've watched 11 damn seasons.
Yeah, we got to see it through.
The pure stubborn part of me now is like,
I have to see it out. Those are all my notes from the episode. Is there anything you think I've missed that you wanted to discuss?
I liked the. I just wanted to mention the wrestling.
Oh yeah.
I saw a thing online. Apparently, that is something that was very close to the comic books.
Yeah.
But in the comic books, it was meant to be like American football. Okay. But because they're still dealing with some of the COVID restrictions and stuff, they scaled it down, and that's why we had a fatal 3-way wrestling match.
Fair enough.
But that kind of...
I mean, it was kind of funny.
My note I've got to that was throwback to the Governor.
What? Trying to recreate Americana?
Yeah, remember when they had the fighting, didn't they?
I mean, they literally had like UFC, no rules.
Yeah, it was a bit more. This was a bit more play fighting. I couldn't tell if it was a little nod or not.
No, I think this is pure entertainment, old school Americana for Founders Day, whereas the Governor was literally feeding people to walkers for sport, like the old gladiatorial days. Yeah, a bit of a difference, dude. I think you need to go back and rewatch those episodes. I may not have watched those episodes as recently, though, because in my notes I've just got throwback to Governor. Joe, it's kind of funny, actually, you should say that. I follow a TikToker who's just started The Walking Dead from the beginning. And he's basically never seen it, doesn't know anything about it, so he's like said, look, I'm going to upload my stuff and I'm not going to read the comments because I know people will spoil stuff for me.
Yeah.
So I'm literally going to upload it, the comments are switched off. I'm literally going to upload my reactions to each season. And they just finished season 4 of the Governor, and it's just like, that guy is the most evil person ever, and I'm thinking to myself,
oh, you wait.
Oh, dude.
You wait.
You know, it's like, my favourite character is Glenn. I'm like, you're just going to have the worst day soon. Just the worst day.
Mate. I hope they don't listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I just can't wait to watch his reaction. I've followed the guy, just literally waiting for that reaction.
Season 7 reaction. What?
Yeah, because I'm a sadistic bastard. But anyway, that is our show. Massive thank you to everybody for listening to us. We will be back next week on Walking Dead Wednesday to discuss that episode. That episode is titled Variants. For everyone who's still living in a post-COVID land, the word variant kind of gives me a twitch, I've got to be honest with you.
PTSD coming through.
In this context, it's going to be interesting. And if some of the stuff I've seen online is accurate, this episode could be one to really mark your calendar for. So we'll be back next week to talk all about it. Until then, everybody, you will take care.
That's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to the Stuff and Things podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show. You can find us on Facebook or online. Simply search the Stuff and Things podcast to join in our conversation every week.